Chapter 5. Making the Bond.
I like Dakota Brown, although I have to admit that I've never partnered up with a more colorful person. Usually I'm locking someone like her up instead of bonding on a professional level. I come from an Irish background, and customarily, Irish people are not very cozy with anyone who is not Irish. There was, however, one exception, at least where I was concerned. And that exception came in the name of Jimmy Valentino. He was the bad boy from the neighborhood back home being Newark, New Jersey, of course. Jimmy was Italian, and both of our fathers worked on the same trash collection route. Jimmy's dad did the driving, and my father, with one other gentleman, did all of the collecting. They hated each other. And on more than one occasion, my father would come busting through the door, following one of their 12-hour shifts, swearing that someday, without getting caught, he would find a way to rid the earth of Jimmy's old man. Mom naturally laughed it off. She said that both men were just 2 inches apart from having a real, bona fide love affair. But none of our parents remotely suspected that another love affair was literally happening right under their noses. That's right. Me and Jimmy was quite a hot item way back then. In fact, Jimmy was the first to sweet-talk his hands right into my panties. His roaming fingers had their way with me right there on the front seat of his old '74 Chevy. Like I said, Jimmy was a real badass, but I just loved the way light would shine off of his big black curly locks. At times, the reflections almost made his hair appear to be blue. Jimmy was a real charmer, too. He had thick, bushy eyebrows and a stare that could see right through a girl. Anyways, Jimmy and I dated for the entire summer. He even took me out for my Sweet 16. I remember that night so clearly. I told my parents that I was heading over to the Nicholas malt shop for more birthday celebrations. They would have died if they only knew that just one block over, Jimmy was parked and waiting for me to join him. After I finally arrived at his car, Jimmy wished me a happy birthday. He even sprung for a nice dime store necklace. Of course it was cheap. After all, how much money does an 18-year-old boy supposed to have? Besides, I thought that it was beautiful because it came from my Jimmy. After that, Jimmy drove me to this place that I had only heard about through rumors. It was a place that was not too far from the port, and where all the lovebirds went to make out heavy. I never questioned Jimmy about our location. I just knew that we had arrived there because of the large number of cars that were present, all with steamed-up windows. So that's when Jimmy started to make his moves. It began with very heavy kissing, and my Jimmy was a real good kisser. I could tell that he had lots of practice, but I didn't care because it was me that he was now kissing. I was completely caught by surprise to discover that our windows were beginning to look just as foggy as were the other cars parked nearby. Then Jimmy began to run his fingers along the inside rim of my panties. No boy had ever touched me on my privates before, and to be honest, it scared me half to death. But I allowed Jimmy to continue. All the while, he kissed me with deep passion. His hands glided over the top of my panties. I could feel a dampness beginning to form in the very places that he touched. Then he whispered words into my ear that set my soul ablaze. "Are you red down there, like you are on your beautiful head?" I could hardly speak. All I could do was nod positively. "I want to see it," he said. Jimmy then pulled my panties aside and he began to rub me there. But he was very careful not to penetrate me. He only strummed the top of my cherry until his wonderful touches began to make me gasp for air. Then without warning, he stopped. "The next time that I touch you down there, it will be because you want me to." What kind of asshole move was that? Of course I wanted him to. I did not tell him to stop. It was my 16th birthday, and Jimmy was going to make me into a fully fledged woman. So why did he stop? What did Jimmy Valentino have up his sleeve? That night, all I could think about was the way Jimmy had touched me, and how I had allowed him to. So why did he stop?